What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts, Matt Llewellyn and Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. We got a great show planned for you guys tonight. It's Tuesday night, it's Super Bowl week, and the 49ers have a new defensive coordinator. Before I toss it over to my guys, if you're watching on X, do us a solid, hit like and repost. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid, hit like and subscribe. Subscribe to both Nothing But Niners and 49ers Hive. Hop in the chat. We want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you like the hire? Do you not like the hire? Is it an upgrade? Is it a downgrade? Are you concerned? Are you excited? One thing about this fan base, we will have a take in every single direction. Every single opinion is expressed with the faithful. So we want to hear it. Now that I got that out of the way, Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Zach. I'm ready to dive into everybody's overreaction to the hire, and we'll jump into it. I think it's overall a good thing that the 49ers went with Raheem Morris, but we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Yes, sir. Mike, how you doing?
Getting over a cold over here, but I'm here. I'm up for it. It's been an interesting week. Had my first jury duty experience. That was interesting, and now I'm here. Got my bowling fix in tonight. Not me on the lanes, but watching some celebrities go out there and do it. So I'm ready to talk some football now. Let's flip these gears and get to this San Francisco 49ers team.
Nice. All right. Never had that jury duty myself. I've been called for it, but never actually had my name called. Once you have to check the list or whatever it is, to see if your number's called. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they got me all the way there, and then I was finally like one of the final candidates. Like they're sitting there, and the lawyers are like, "All right, stand if you agree with any of this stuff," and like you got to stand up and hold your stuff. And I looked around the room, and I was like, "I am the only black person in here. There is no way they are selecting me for this trial." So they got me out of there with the quickness after that part. So
nice.
It was interesting, though.
Nice. All right, well, guys, why don't we just get into the biggest news, obviously. And we wanted to go live when the news broke on Sunday, I think it was, but we couldn't all come together, so we are live now. 49ers hired Raheem Morris, ex-Falcons head coach, ex-Bucks head coach, ex-Rams defensive coordinator. He did win a ring with the Rams as their defensive coordinator. Obviously, Robert Saleh left to become the Tennessee Titans head coach. That left the void here. There was a lot of speculation as to what was going to happen with Jim Schwartz in Cleveland. He was on round 2 of interviews for their head coaching position. They ended up going with Todd Monken. Reports were that he was not happy. Schwartz was telling everybody bye. It's a little up in the air, but nonetheless, he's still under contract, and the 49ers weren't able to interview him at all. That left Raheem Morris, Joe Woods, and Gus Bradley, per Matt Mayoko, as the only 3 candidates that were interviewed for the position. Mike, I'll start with you. What are your first thoughts on this hire? Then I'll get Matt's thoughts as well, because I think we're a little bit on different sides here.
I'm a little in the middle right now, right? But the biggest thing was I was glad it wasn't an in-house promotion, right? So I celebrated that. I applauded that. And then when I started thinking about Raheem Morris, I thought about his diversity and the different types of schemes that he's run throughout his NFL career. And I also really, really like that he started out as a secondary coach. Last time we had a secondary coach as our defensive coordinator was Steve Wilks, and the Niners secondary was really good. And I think that helped out with the sack production. I thought we had a couple of coverage sacks that season. And so I think that our secondary has been the biggest disappointment. I know that people were disappointed in the sack production last year and all that. But the truth of the matter is I think our entire secondary took a step back this past season compared to what it was before. And even when Wilkes and Sorensen were here, I think our secondary took a step back. We went from having our best DB and Diamador Lenore not allowing a touchdown to giving up like 5 or 6 this past season. It was just a night and day difference to me. The safeties didn't look too great. They flashed at times, but nothing consistent in the secondary and in the back end. I think that we get back to some of that secondary consistency, regardless of what you think of the type of scheme and what you think of the hire. I think that is Raheem Morris's kind of specialty is the secondary. And so I do think that we see some improvements there, and we can get back to rushing the passer now if we have good coverage in the back end. So I want to start there with my positive take on Raheem Morris. That's what I got for positivity right now. I'm going to stop there and see what everyone else thinks, though.
Well, Matt, I'm eager to get your thoughts on this hire.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the best candidate they could have hired, being what was actually available. I know people will say Jim Schwartz, but Jim Schwartz is under contract with Cleveland, and knowing Jimmy Haslam the way that people do, it's not going to be an easy contract to get out of. And part of the reason why the 49ers were stuck behind the 8 ball with Steve Wilkes and then Nick Sorensen, was that they made deep runs into the playoffs. And so, like, now, you're looking at a deep run in the playoffs in 22. You lose D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, so you bring in Wilkes, and you're like, okay, like, it's February, like, we got no time to do this. All the top candidates were already snatched up by terrible teams. That's usually how this goes. And so, they were left picking somebody who didn't necessarily fit what they wanted to do, and who Shanahan had no familiarity with. He wasn't really familiar with Steve Wilkes and what he was going to do, and that was kind of like a last minute hire based off of a name. You can go ahead and ask the New York Jets how Steve Wilkes did this year. They fired his ass after one season, so apparently not that good. Again, sometimes you're just a name at a certain point. And that's no shade to Steve Wilkes, who does have a track record, but that track record is getting further and further away. So he wasn't the right fit with the 49ers. They make a deep playoff run. They go to the Super Bowl. They lose the Super Bowl. There was obvious contention on the sidelines between Shanahan and Wilkes during that playoff run. And he goes with somebody who was on the team that he wanted to give a shot to, but that honestly was not ready for that job. I feel like all of us knew he wasn't ready for that job. And Mike, I think you were on it really early with the non-answer. I know we always talked about this in the introductory press conference that he had when he was sitting there, and somebody asked him, I think it was Grant actually asked him about the tackling issues, right? And he's like, well, we're going to fix those. Like those, don't even worry about it. That's the past. We've watched it. We're going to go back and fix those. And it's like, well, that's kind of a crass answer from somebody who has no experience. And, people want to know actually what your methodology is going to be for that. And he had no answer. So that was kind of a disaster. And then you bring in, old faithful Robert Saleh, who had gotten fired by the Jets. And even that was kind of a last minute hire. They were holding out, what if he took another job? Who would they have gotten then? Right. So I think with Jim Schwartz being tied up with Cleveland, which he still is, and who knows what Cleveland's going to do? Do they let him out of the contract? Do they try to entice him to stay by giving him a gigantic raise? Who knows, right? I think they went with the best guy that was going to be available, which is Raheem Morris. And not everybody's going to be happy with it. Not everybody's going to think that it's a good hire, but nobody was going to. People would have found out a way to complain about Jim Schwartz if it was him. People would have found out a way to complain about Gus Bradley if it was him. But I think that it's a win, actually, that Kyle Shanahan is going with yet another guy in Raheem Morris who isn't cut from that Seattle cover 3 cloth, who is actually a little bit different. And I think that is showing a little bit of growth. And I know that there was interference with Wilkes and with Sorensen, but I think those were special circumstances of unfamiliarity and inexperience. And I think that, again, yes, is this a guy that Shanahan knows? Sure, right? But he worked well with McVay, parlayed his success with the Rams into a head coaching job. McVay still talks about him, in positive, glowing admiration. I think that, you kind of got to work with what you got. They went best candidate available. And I actually think it's a credit to them that they went outside of the building to get this guy, because the whole thought was Gus Bradley's there. It's going to be him, right? And they went in a different direction that they thought was better for them.
Yeah, it's funny. You say there would have been complaints about anybody. I can even imagine they did get Steve Spagnuolo to come over from Kansas City, or say Vic Fangio from Philly. Well, why don't they want them? Why is Kansas City so willing? Like, I can already hear people bitching about, or complaining about why that would happen. I think this is as good of a hire that the 49ers could have gotten at this point. Jim Schwartz's name was floated out there, and when they went with Todd Monken, the reporting was like, oh, he's under contract, but that's contract schmontract, like they're going to tear that up and he'll be and then it's like, well, we're a week removed from that now. And now it's like, oh yeah, he's a valued member of that coaching staff. And, Todd Monken had his introductory press conference and it was a little weird. He was talking, well, when I was game planning for the Browns, I wasn't game planning to chip Jim Schwartz. I was game planning to chip Myles Garrett. With that being said, Jim Schwartz is a great coach. So I do think there's a little bit of animosity there. But what were the 49ers supposed to do? Sit around and wait and hope that he became available and let somebody scoop up Raheem Morris in the meantime? The three of us know, maybe the viewers or the fans aren't as familiar. Kyle and Raheem Morris go back decades. I mean, like they were on the Washington Redskins staff together. I think they were even on the Buccaneers staff together. Like they go back years. And I know Mike Silver's, that passage from his book went viral over the past month when Mike Silver was talking about Kyle Shanahan and Raheem Morris getting arrested together at like the 2004 scouting combine or something like that over the case of mistaken identity and Kyle not being a fan of how the Indianapolis police were treating Raheem Morris. And they both ended up on cuffs on the ground at some bar at midnight. So these guys are obviously boys, and Kyle Shanahan has said multiple times that he's wanted to have Raheem on his staff since he became a head coach. The opportunities just haven't lined up, and for the first time, they have lined up. I think Raheem Morris is a coach that the 49ers are going to be very happy to have. He's got the head coach pedigree, so to speak, even though it hasn't worked out twice. I do think that he kind of got the short end this last time. He's a very aggressive DC, in my opinion. I saw Niners Nation putting out all the stats as far as how he is to blitz and the rate, and we can get into that a little later. I don't want to steal. I know Matt had shared that. I don't want to steal his stats, but he's a very, very much more aggressive coach than what the 49ers are used to in like a Robert Saleh, that Seattle scheme that they run. And I saw the chat already saying, hopefully we're not, sticking with this wide nine. I think the thing with Raheem is that he can kind of like adapt to wherever he goes. Like he has ran the Sean McVay style defense that Sean likes. He kind of did his own thing with Jeff Ulbrich in Atlanta the past couple of years. He had his own thing in Tampa. So there really isn't like one hard mold for a Raheem Morris defense. He's very flexible. I do think the things that were most exciting to me when he got hired, and I went back and looked, pressures and turnovers. Two things the 49ers struggled like crazy last year. The Falcons are pretty good over the past, last year specifically when they went and addressed their defensive line with two edge rushers in the first round. But interceptions too, turnovers as well. So I'm hoping that could be something that the 49ers can take advantage of or benefit from, so to speak, is getting Raheem Morris in here. And the best coaches say it, turnovers or fumbles or interceptions, they don't just happen. They're forced. And that hasn't been coached out of this 49ers defense. I don't even know when the last time they were high ranking in turnover. 2019, was it? Did they get a lot of turnovers in 2019?
It was when Wilkes was here. Wilkes. I think they had over 20 interceptions that season. I think that was the last time.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
No. That's pretty much it. The last thing I wanted to say, and I know we'll get into it, but the thing that makes me the most excited, could this be Kyle Shanahan, Steve Spagnuolo? You have a twice failed head coach in Raheem Morris, who, if he gets another head coaching look, it's not going to be for a bit. It's not going to be next year. Likely won't be the following year. And if it is, that means that the 49ers defense is excelling at such a high rate that teams are willing to overlook his second failure as a head coach that soon. That says wonders about this defense and how it's performing. So I do think that means that this could be a long-term answer to the defensive coordinator position for the 49ers. I don't think we'll have to see another 5 in 5 years like we just had. So that could be a huge benefit to the 49ers. That's my thoughts.
There's a lot of positives to take away from the hire, and you guys touched on it. Who are you going to get at this time of year and all that, and the versatility is something that is really, really special about Raheem Morris because he just knows and has been around so many different types of defenses and the schemes and all that stuff. So he can come in. Here's the I guess, kind of the negative with it, right? It's like you hope that the team isn't saying, these are our position coaches. This is what they know. This is what they like. We're going to stick with this, and we're going to run this regardless. Because if that's the case, it does not matter who the defensive coordinator is, right? And so I personally celebrated when Daniel Bullock was let go of, right? It's like, cool, let's see some changes here, right? But now it's like, is Morris going to bring anybody with him, right? So the rumors are going around that the Niners are looking at Joe Woods to come in as a secondary coach now, right? And I haven't seen anything else other than rumors, right? I haven't seen any more acquisitions for the Niners unless something has happened that you guys are aware of that I'm not. And it's very possible because I've been under the weather and been tied up. So maybe you guys know something else that I don't know. But, that's one of the positive changes. I went through the long list of people that I wanted to see gone or, shaken up a little bit here. And so far, none of it has happened. But, again, it's so late in the season. Who are you actually going to go out there and get? I think some of the fans were hoping, I think the way that Seattle's defense dominated, they wanted someone off of that coaching staff, right? Let's bring somebody in, anybody, right? I think they just wanted to see us go and get someone off of a winning or a really good defense or a top 10 defense. You know what I mean? It's like, let's go out there and grab somebody off of one of those staffs and bring him here. Maybe we can't get Jim Schwartz, but what if we got his defensive line coach and made him a defensive coordinator, right? They don't even know the name. They would have just been happy to see that it came from one of those branches, you know what I mean? One of those trees, and then try to incorporate it. Some of that here. But as long as they don't say, this is the defense we're going to run, no matter what, make it work, I think we're going to be okay. And that's what I'm cautiously optimistic about. It's like, as long as they don't just pigeonhole him into playing a certain type of defense, regardless of his thoughts, then we should be okay. But that, I don't know. Like you said, they're buddies, they're friends, and Kyle seems to be in love with this defense. Is he willing to change? Is he willing to bend a little bit? And I saw a comment, it was at 10:54, where someone said it was just the injuries. It's not the scheme, it's the injuries. I disagree. Scheme puts people in certain places, and we missed a lot of running gap integrity, and we weren't setting edges and all that stuff. That speaks to me more about the scheme than it does the actual players on the field. If you're in the right spot and you're funneling the running backs to certain places, your linebackers can then make tackles, even if the defensive tackles can't do it or the defensive ends can't do it. And we just weren't seeing that consistently this season. That tells me that the defensive line coaches aren't doing their jobs. That tells me that the scheme that they're teaching over and over, this is a scheme that we've been in for how many years now? Since Kyle Shanahan has been here.
2017.
And these are the same issues that we've been having. So I think that it is time for a little bit of a shakeup. We don't have to do a complete overhaul of the scheme. I'm not completely against the wide 9 if we come out in that. It doesn't have to be all 3 downs, obviously, right? You pick and choose those spots, and I'm absolutely okay with that. That's just alignment. And so we'll see how it shakes out this year. I do think that this could be very good for the Niners, but like I said, please don't try to force him to do something that he doesn't want to do.
I've seen people say we should have gotten somebody from the Mike Macdonald tree, run the Mike Macdonald defense. Is that really the best? It's like,
we don't have the players to run the Mike Macdonald defense.
Not only that, but it's like he is the architect, right, of that defense, and I would imagine he knows all the ins and outs of it, and how, what works, what doesn't work, how to scheme around what. It's like trying to get somebody from the Kyle Shanahan tree to go be the head coach or offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals or something. I don't know. It's just like you would think that every time you see him, he's going to have the answers to the test if it was his test that he created. That's just my 2 cents. I get that at the end of the day, you still have to go out there and line it up, but maybe doing something a little different here is not the worst thing with Raheem Morris. I think he's one of the top defensive minds in football. You don't just luck into getting 2 head coaching gigs, right? And I know the rankings that are going around saying, well, he's never even had a top 5 ranked defense. So fuck what? So what? Is that the requirement for winning a Super Bowl? No. You could be...
There's also caveats to that too.
Right.
For example, 2021 with the Rams, that Rams team scored almost 500 points in that season. When you have high-powered offense and it's an explosive offense, I think they were 3rd in the league in points per play.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a team that's scoring fast and scoring a lot. What does that mean? That means more defensive possessions that your guys are out there. So naturally, you're going to pick up extra yardage. All it is, they're giving up yards. It doesn't mean that they like the Rams that season in 2021 had a plus 88 point differential. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's not like they're just barely winning games or whatever. Context always matters. We talk about it with quarterbacks, right? Oh, dude threw for like 400 yards. And it's like, yeah, he was trailing like the whole game. They didn't score anything. They just let him throw between the 20s and they were playing prevent defense. Doesn't make you good. It just means that you had a lot of yards. Just like when you're on a team that, you know, is scoring a lot of points, if your defense gives up more yards than another team would, that, you know, especially if they're scoring quickly rather than a grind it out every, you know, drive is 10 to 12 plays and you're chewing up clock, you know, predominantly passing, predominantly explosive plays, you're going to have more defensive possessions. You're going to take more defensive snaps and you're going to give up more yards. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way that they defenses in the NFL in general look, they don't try to go 3 and out. Oh, they would love to go 3 and out every time. Let me not be crazy with what I'm saying, right? But the truth of the matter is, defensive coordinators and teams in general prefer teams to have long drives, right? Because odds are you're going to mess up at some point, right? So if a team is scoring on just 6 plays in a drive, then it's like, oh crap, our defense really does suck, right? But if it's taking teams 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plus attempts in one drive, what they're banking on is eventually someone's going to mess up. You know, eventually there's going to be some sort of penalty somewhere or a turnover or something in the favor of the defense, and then that's when you can get them off of their rocker, you know. And that's been what the 49ers mantra is. You know, we call it the bend but don't break type defense, right? And that's what the Niners have been trying to sustain here. So we gotta keep our eyes on how they do things. And Matt, that was a great point that you made, right? When you have a high-powered offense, it's more possessions for the opposing team as well. You know what I'm saying? And so that just means they're going to give up more yards. And then if you have a high-powered offense, in addition to the extra attempts, if you get up 2 or 3 scores, a lot of teams don't care if you give up another touchdown, right? So that plus 88 point differential that you were talking about probably would have been even wider if it weren't for so many extra attempts. You know what I'm saying? So if they didn't have multiple score leads during that game. So, you know, teams are settling for field goals. That's a win for a team that's up 2 or 3 scores, right? You're up 17 points and the opposing team drives down and gets in the field goal range. It takes 3. That's going to cut into that point differential. So, yeah, that was a great point, Matt.
So something that we've seen, or I've seen a lot of, is people saying, well, he traditionally runs a 3-4. The 49ers run the 4-3. They don't have the personnel to switch. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. I think that he's, like I said to start, he's very adaptable. I wouldn't expect that to be like the necessity when he comes in. Matt, do you have any thoughts on that? What he likes to?
Honestly, I mean, he's run a bunch of stuff. He's run 3-4. They ran like a 5-1 penny front a lot this year. Jeff Ulbrich was there, so they ran some wide 9 this year. To me, it doesn't even matter. I'm more actually impressed by the fact that he is versatile because, as evidenced by the fact that, I mean, listen, people will glaze Saleh, but the 49ers were ranked like 21st in defense this year. It was a trash defense, dude. And you can look at the personnel, but the whole point is Saleh runs a scheme the way Saleh runs a scheme. And there's not that level of versatility, right? We always talked about, man, he's not, there's times where it just doesn't seem like he adjusts, where they do the same thing and they're able to keep doing the same thing throughout the game. And I think versatility, especially in the face of changing personnel and injuries and everything like that, you have to work with what you do best, right? Like, it took forever and a day for them to actually let Diamador Lenore travel with a wide receiver. It took them forever.
It was week 18, bro.
Right. But I mean, that's like in the first however many years Saleh was here, when we actually had better players, he didn't let them travel. Right. You know what I mean? So like, it took that long to get him to do something that, you know, when you think you have a guy, right? Like, you know, you let him do that. It's just how it's always been done, right? And I think the versatility is actually more important than anything else, because if a guy goes down, you adjust, right? If you're not able to run, you know, zone coverages or single high or whatever else because your safeties suck, or like fucking, you know, Jair Brown is injured or whatever else, you know, who cares? You can adjust the scheme, and that versatility and being well-versed in everything and teaching everybody everything allows people to fit into different roles a little more easily than asking somebody like, what's his face? Gifford or who's the other guy, the special teamer that was on
Oh,
the
God.
field. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Like we were down to bum linebackers, like straight up bums. And you're asking them to come out there and go from special teams to running the defense, and again, having somebody who's versatile can actually make it so that you take some of the stuff off of their plate and set them up for success rather than just go, here you go, this is what we do. Good luck.
Yeah, it was 49. I can't remember his name either. Wallow. Someone just said it in the chat.
no. There was another one that we had.
There
It
was
like
another one.
57 and gosh, we signed him like he was here all year. He wasn't just here at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But this comment that Dre says here, he's like, that's highly incorrect. Our run defense was ranked 6th when we were healthy, bro. Please report correct. Like, bro, when were we healthy? And that's my biggest issue with like the glass half full type like mindset is that one player should not completely crumble your defense.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. That's what bothers me the most about this team is that we know we are consistently one of the top 10 injured teams in the NFL. Does that mean like, we should just never expect to be good again? That's when I think scheme matters more than the physical players out there. Like the physical players you can't count on. It's football. It's NFL. Like we're not going to be healthy all year long. So don't like when we were healthy. I don't even know what that means. I'm not even kidding. Week 1? What does this comment mean? Do you guys know when we were healthy?
I don't know. I think that might be in reference to the above comments where he was talking maybe about the Wilkes years, like the Wilkes season. If I'm not wrong, in 2023 the Niners were 3rd against the run. They were 3rd in scoring, 3rd in yards, total yards, and 1st in interceptions. They led the league. I still can't believe they got 22 picks that season. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck got all those picks?
I'm
trying to think of it, and I'm like, who had all those picks?
Yeah, it was a lot of everybody contributing.
I feel like Warner had like 5. Like Warner had a bunch. But like, who had all those picks? Jesus Christ. But again, that defense ain't walking through the door. You know what I mean? You have a healthy Nick Bosa, you have a healthy Dre Greenlaw, a healthy Fred Warner, right? Like, man, the DBs were pretty good. Like, again, when you have Deommodore Lenoir isn't your best guy, you got Charvarius Ward out there who was balling at the time, who was actually the number 1 that season. Like Charvarius Ward was going off, and you had a good team. Before that you had really good safeties. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Tashawn Gibson and Hufanga had like 10 combined. Yeah, so like, oh, that's right. That was the All-Pro Hufanga year, right?
Yeah. That
fugazi ass Hufanga where he had like 7 picks in the first 3 games and then had like 1 the rest of the way or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
hold up.
He's clarifying. He's 2 games.
That was 2 games. Yeah, 2 games, brother. I wouldn't puff my chest at being ranked 3rd after 2 games.
One of them being New Orleans.
Yeah,
right?
Like Seattle week 1 when they were just learning the offense. Like what? Come on, like no, we can't. Absolutely not. I'm not taking that. That's nothing that I'm writing home about. Like I can't do that. I'm sorry.
But I mean, it does speak to if Morris is going to run a heavier front, I think that bodes well. If you get a healthy Nick Bosa back, and then you have all of the guys that you draft, Michael Williams comes back healthy, CJ West and Alfred Collins started playing a lot better towards the end of the season. And then, you stack that with a bunch of big bodies, people aren't going to be able to run on you. And if you can fix the back end of it, I'd like to see them disguise their blitzes. Raheem Morris was one of the biggest blitzers out there. And whether that's like somebody shooting a gap or like you run a fake front and drop people back in coverage and then send somebody who, I think that not doing the same thing, right? Every 49ers game I watched with Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator is, Robert Saleh and the 49ers don't really like to blitz. And it's like, everybody fucking knows. Everybody knows. You get the ball out in space so that the pass rushers can't get home. And then they're playing that soft as baby shit zone. They don't, the whole thing was like, it was press and duck with the cover 3 in Seattle, right? They manhandled you at the line and then fell off. But this 49ers team never pressed. They never press. You're already 5 yards off the ball. So you're getting out in space to, a wide receiver on a screen or something like that. The defense is already at a disadvantage. There's already space and blockers in between. And that was my biggest issue, is that any quarterback that could run the ball or any quarterback that could get it out to their playmakers in space, the 49ers were going to struggle with, because the pass rush was not going to get home. If you can disguise blitzes and change the look of your front so that teams don't know what's coming, that adds an extra wrinkle that they have to think about. It gives you an extra little edge to what you're trying to do, and maybe a pass rush can get home a little more reliably because you're blitzing a guy, and then the next time it's like, oh, okay, we're not getting there. So
I have this article from Niners Nation. He went into the blitzing. Kyle Posey. We should get into it just to get some stats and some. Will we see more blitzing under Raheem Morris? After 6 weeks of the 2025 season, the Falcons defense ranked number 1 in total DVOA, including first against the run and the pass. They were number 5 in EPA per play. They were blitzing at a rate that would make Kyle Shanahan triple check the numbers. Atlanta's blitz rate was 42.4%, second to only Brian Flores. It was a sign that Morris was comfortable evolving his scheme. After all, we were talking about a guy who comes to the Vic Fangio adjacent tree, and they are not known for their blitzing. Falcons weren't getting after the quarterback, so they decided to turn up the heat and manufacture pressure by blitzing. By season's end, Atlanta finished with the 7th highest blitz rate on passing downs and the 2nd highest stunt rate on running downs. Stunting on running downs is an easy way to change the math in the box for defenses without sacrificing coverage on the back end. There are different ways, from line movements all in one direction to last-minute reductions, but Morris keeping his players on the move is a great sign. The Falcons love to blitz their nickel. Only 2 cornerbacks in the league blitzed more than Stout did last year. Stout's win percentage as a pass rusher was 20.5%. It's a skill set that is just scratching the surface. No player won more at his position with at least 15 pass rushes last year than Stout. He bested second place by 3 percentage points. It's another building block for Morris to use in passing situations. The Falcons ran cover 3 at the 5th highest rate last season and cover 6 at the 3rd highest rate. That's where the 49ers will likely live this year, with quarters being sprinkled into the mix. Despite heavy blitz usage, Atlanta ran man coverage, cover 1, at the 3rd lowest rate last season. So I know people were talking about, Jim Schwartz and the changes that would come there with possible, increase in man coverage. It doesn't look like that will be the case, and we'll stick back in the cover 3 and cover 6 that the 49ers have been very comfortable in, with Robert Saleh and the other coaches that we've had here. But Matt, you talked about the blitzing, you talked about the stunts. I mean, I think we should all get used to that, because I do think that we're going to see it at a much, much higher rate. Saleh, in his defense, he didn't blitz much, but even when he did, they still couldn't get home on the pressure, and then that left the back end completely exposed to get picked apart by competent quarterbacks. So I don't know if either of you guys are more excited to see the increase in blitzing. I think I am. I'm ready to see some action. I'm ready to get home and at least pressure the quarterback, because you see what happens when you even just get in quarterbacks' faces. You even have to get home. Just get that pressure, hurries up that clock in their head, make mistakes. I'm hoping we're going to see Sunday against a certain quarterback in Seattle, but that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. Yeah. I think that he can bring a lot.
Two things. DeAndre's going off in the chat still. Let me put it to you this way, DeAndre. Nobody was scared of Mac Jones. So look at when Brock Purdy came back and when teams really tried to start running on us. Also, when did Michael Williams get hurt? That'd be right around week 9. So we're talking about guys getting hurt, and you expect that, like defensive linemen, the whole defensive line was hurt. Like Huff missed games, Alfred Collins missed a couple games, CJ West missed games. Everybody on that defensive line missed games, right? The whole running joke was, is Yetur Gross-Matos ever going to play for this team? Because he's limited in practice, and then all of a sudden he fucking can't play for like 3 weeks.
Well, I think that's what Dre's point was, is that like when the guys were out there, we were good. But and that goes back to what I was saying, is that they just aren't. They just aren't. And so at some point, let's just set the edge basic. Like, let's get back to the basic shit with stopping the run.
Again, here's the thing, too. When you're going against a Mac Jones offense, right, are you that scared to do you
right,
need
so
to
now you're
going to
put the ball on the ground. Right, exactly. You don't expect them to put up a ton of points. So, yeah.
Right.
And that's where you end up, falling apart.
Because I think everybody slept on Mac Jones a little bit. I know we slept on Mac Jones a little bit, but teams go into it going like, it's Mac Jones. Like, well, we don't have to do nothing. And all of a sudden, Mac Jones is out there throwing touchdown passes, and all of a sudden you're down, and then you can't run. So now you have to throw. So, and I think part of that too is that, the expectation of Brock Purdy being more explosive when he came back, which, there were times where he was. And you're out there and you're like, okay, we got to take the ball out of Brock's hands. We got to go on extended drives. And then people found out that part of the run defense was soft, and then they just pushed the smush. You know what I mean? Like they were like, oh, soft spot. Let's just keep hitting that. And the tape was out.
And to be completely fair, I'm personally scarred when I'm thinking about this scheme and I'm looking about the teams that we have to go against consistently, right? Like those last 3 games that the Niners played, the run defense was not good. You got that Eagles game sandwich in the middle, but they had been misusing Barkley all year long, right? But those 2 Seahawks games, they ran for almost 200 yards in each one of those games.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a division opponent, and you know what they're going to try to do. They just did it, and there was nothing. Like, and that's what makes me pull my hair out about the scheme, right? It's that was what I was left with to think about. And that's unfortunately the impression that's left on me right now. I want to get away from that. I want to get away from not being able to stop the run when you know that's what they're going to do. It was freaking disheartening. You don't want to watch that kind of stuff happen over and over and over. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think that it's going to be almost impossible to not improve. So we will see better, right? Raheem Morris this year is going to be the difference. So from Salah to Morris is going to be the difference from what we saw from Schneider to
Boyer.
Boyer. You know what I mean? Like, it can't get worse. It can't get worse. Well,
right.
So that's where we are.
We got a super chat from you guys. Sean, Mike, you got to take this one.
He says, do you think Shanny's new butt wipe is running the Y9? Let's start there. I think that we're going to see the Y9 sprinkled in. I don't think that's something that we're just going to completely abandon. Chris Kosaric is still going to be here. You're not going to get completely away from it. I don't think, again, I said this earlier, and if you guys disagree or have something to add to that part, I don't think that it's going to ever completely just be gone. I think that there's going to be times, especially when Bosa's back, I think Bosa prefers to operate in space as opposed to being right there on the inside because it's easier for him to get double teamed. And if you are going to double team him and he's out wide, you got to send somebody out really wide, and it opens up stuff for guys underneath in those aggressive tackles, right? Mykel Williams coming back, Nick Bosa, that's going to bode well for the Niners later on. There is an advantage to that when you have the right type of guy on the edge. So I think that can absolutely help out. You guys thoughts on, are we going to continue to see the Y9?
Probably.
Well, here, I got something to share. This is from Eric Branch. He said, in 2019, after the 49ers hired defensive line coach Chris Kosaric, they implemented Y-line alignment for their defensive ends, forcing Saleh to change how he deployed his linebackers. So that's a little change for Saleh. Basically says that Ulbrich did it too. But this is the key thing for me. On January 21st, when asked whether keeping the Seattle system was a requirement when it came to his next coordinator, Shanahan referred to last season's use of 5-man fronts as an example of how the 49ers needed to continue evolving. And perhaps that's another reason Morris could succeed 2 years after Wilkes was fired. Shanahan is more open to change. Quote, that's how this league works now, Shanahan said. Offensive coaches know how to attack things too much, and so you have to up the variables on what they know they're going to get. And that starts with front change. It starts with coverage change, and it goes with personnel change. And I think we've done more of that each year, and we'll continue to have to do more of that. So I think Shanahan at this point is open to changing and being more open to change. And again, that's where the versatility of Morris comes in. I mean, listen, I said it, and I know that there was a little bit of pushback, Mike, that you had, but I think that getting bitched by Mike McDonald twice in 3 weeks, I mean, if it was me, I'd have no option but to change. It's only so many punches I'm going to take to the mouth before I'm like, okay, hold up. I got to work on this right now. Like, you know what I mean? I got to get my hands up or something. And I think that that's what this whole thing is all about. And the fact that, he knows that, and January 21st, that was like after they got eliminated, I believe. So, I mean, this, I think it was, you just got completely smacked around 41-6. So, like, again, there's no
that was on the 17th. Yep.
Right. You have the information in front of you because I believe this quote was from like the end of year, like the exit interview that he had or whatever. But you have all the information in front of you that what you're doing in the iteration that you're doing it is no longer good enough. And if 2 Super Bowls weren't going to do it, 2 Super Bowl losses weren't going to do it, this definitely was going to do it because you got to see Mike McDonald twice a year, every year. And your defense got absolutely shellacked. You know?
And if you truly believe that Shanahan was hands off of the defense this year, that means that he stepped back and he had no choice but to say, all right, this is what this defense is supposed to look like. This isn't going to cut it. So that was a great quote that you pulled up there, Matt. To finish off this super chat, he says, what a waste if so, tired of Shanahan's retread friends. That part right there is interesting as well because that was what my apprehension was. Like, please don't just hire someone just because you know him. Now, another thing that we have to talk about with this Shanahan and hiring people that he knows, he's been in the NFL for a really long time. Yeah. Odds are it's going to be someone that he knows.
Mike, not only has he been in the NFL a long time, his dad is like a Hall of Fame coach, a 2-time Super Bowl winning coach. So if you don't think that Kyle Shanahan knows just about fucking everybody, I don't know what to tell you, man.
All right. Yeah. So
dude's been on the sideline since he was a teenager.
Right. So yeah, we're not going to get away from the who knows Kyle type of thing. I think that's almost impossible at this point. It's just a matter of like Kyle really taking a step back and saying, all right, focus on the defense. I'm going to trust you. That's the important part here. I think that's what we were excited about with Robert Saleh coming back. It wasn't necessarily that. Well, I'm lying. I was excited that Robert Saleh is going to get another year with Nick Bosa. Right. It was like we remember what he had Nick Bosa his last year here. Let's see if he can replicate some of that again, right? So that was the exciting part. And then we had invested so much on the defensive line. It's like Saleh's got some tools to work with. And then he didn't come week 3. You know what I mean?
I got to say, too, watching Saleh this year, I didn't see the same fire that we normally see from him, that used to see from him. That passion was
not there.
I think that, honestly, if this is just me, I think it's going to come back this year in Tennessee. I think this year was a hangover year from being in New York for a couple of years. Like that was a hangover from being part of the Jets organization, dumpster fire of an organization, just the bad vibes. Because he was top 5 or top 10 defense in New York when he got fired.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But they didn't have a franchise quarterback. You know, they didn't have, you know, he had Zach Wilson, but like he was supposed to have Aaron Rodgers. Four plays into the first season, he tears his Achilles. And I just think that, you know, that kind of washed Rodgers out. You know, I think Rodgers was actually better this year than he was for the Jets. Yeah. And I just, you know, when you're in a bad situation, some of that can linger for a while. And I'm hoping that he finds it. I hope that he has success, but I don't think that we got the best of Saleh this year in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, again, the change is fine. And for the people in the comments who are like, Shanahan's too stubborn, I think this is an example of how he's not that stubborn. Right. Because Wilkes, he didn't know. And so I think he was holding on too tight and being like, man, I don't know about this. This is like everything that I don't like. And he's doing stuff I don't like. With Morris, again, I don't know how y'all are with your friends, but if I had a friend who was doing a job, I would trust my friend because I know my friend. I would trust my friend to do that job well. And I wouldn't have to micromanage my friend. And if you did have to micromanage your friend, that means you shouldn't have hired him to begin with, or then you truly are somebody who's like too uptight. But I didn't see Shanahan interfering this year. I don't remember, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember Shanahan interfering too much with Saleh or with D'Amico Ryans when they were here. Not to the extent that we saw with Wilkes and definitely with Sorensen, where like Shanahan would straight call timeouts on the defensive coaches and be like, no, you ain't doing that shit. I don't remember that with you know,
that's fair.
It always seemed to be collaborative. And, you know, especially this year with Saleh, he went out of his way to be like, oh no, we meet and we talk about everything or whatever. I think that people are confusing oversight, which is his responsibility, frankly, as head coach, with interference. Yeah. And I think that there's a difference. I think you can have a collaborative relationship and then on game day, trust them to do their thing. Right. And then, you know, what he had with Wilkes and Sorensen, where he actually was on game day actively interfering with what they were doing. Because with Wilkes, it was like, why are you calling from the booth, dude? I need you down on the field. And then it was like, why are you blitzing right there? I don't need you to blitz right there. I want to do this thing. And, with Sorensen, it was just like, all right, I got to hold your hand because you've never been a coordinator before and you're clearly over your skis. So we'll see.
And then he ended off with Lynch promoted, someone new drafts. And I don't know how much you guys want to get into this, but let's talk about it. There were some changes in the front office, a couple of shakeups here. Jed York out as CEO.
Al Guido is now CEO. And that leaves the president of football operations kind of open.
Yep.
God, what a great thing to do. At this point, my only concern at this point is who would you get to become the actual general manager? That's the only thing, right?
They
if you're going to kick Lynch upstairs,
Josh Williams,
who are you gonna get?
Who was in 2 rounds of interviews for the GM position.
I mean, they could do in-house, but again, are people going to complain about that? Here's my thing, and I would actually have a complaint about that, because if he's already been in the building, we've been drafting like shit. Like, do I want that guy to get promoted, or is this a case of he's given these recommendations that have just been like kind of pushed aside? That's going to be the big thing. I think that the best thing that this team could do, though, is take away most of the input that Kyle has. I think Kyle needs to just coach the team and not have as much say on personnel.
I don't know how much personnel
on the offensive side, in terms of like offensive line, they don't draft because Shanahan doesn't care about the offensive line. He wants He's famous for saying like offensive linemen don't score touchdowns.
Yeah. Him and Forrester both said that same thing almost verbatim.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my issue. Like, as much as I give Forrester a little out because I feel like they haven't invested in his group enough, I hated hearing him say that, and I hated him, seconding that after Kyle said it. But the thing is, even when they came aboard, they kept most of the scouts that Trent Baalke had. I don't know that John Lynch and Kyle have enough of the scouting department to say, hey, we need to go and hire new guys. I think they've kind of just been running with whoever's here, and we need to get someone in that cares and knows how to do that from an outside perspective. So we'll see how they end up handling it, and if they talk about the new hires and the promotions and all that stuff, or where they come from. It's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on for sure.
It is interesting, though, because you've seen a lot of people come out and say Lynch needs to be moved, or Lynch needs to be fired. He can't be in charge of drafts anymore. Well, that would be exactly this. Jed York, by the way, I know Mike said it, previously held both CEO and president position. Now he is only the CEO, and Al Guido is the president. So interesting to see what that means. Or maybe, sorry, I think I had that mixed up. No. York was CEO and owner, and now he's only the owner. Al Guido was the president. Now Guido's CEO, leaving the president position freed up. So we'll see what that means. They don't just do that for nothing, in my opinion. So I'd imagine there's some sort of corresponding move that will follow, that will free up the GM position, perhaps. So
it would be the best thing for the team. I mean, I don't know how much we talk about it. How much is John Lynch actually picking? And if he's not, again, they've had enough bad drafts that somebody's head's going to roll. It's not going to be Kyle. So the next logical person would be John, unless you move him up and get him out of there. But in terms of being a public facing mouthpiece and PR person for the team, I can't think of anybody better. He's well measured. He's personable. He knows the game of football. Get him out there and have him be more of the like John Elway style, just like team executive rather than an actual general manager.
Mm-hmm. We need a real scout, a real former scout to get in there and be the GM. Somebody who has that knack. The dude is a fucking Hall of Fame safety, and he can't draft safety to save his life. It makes no sense. It's like Michael Jordan.
I think when you are that good, you kind of have a blind spot, because everything that you did is almost like innate, right? Like, why can't everybody do it that way? I don't understand. This was easy for me. And you kind of like lose perspective on how hard certain things actually are, because it just came naturally to you. That's why it's really hard for the best of the best of the best to, like, I don't think Tom Brady will ever be a coach, just because I don't think Tom Brady would be capable of being a coach, because again, he'd be like, I don't know how this is
just
so
do
hard
it.
for you guys. yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
You know.
So, I saw someone say, we were talking about offensive linemen and Forrester and all that. I saw someone say that Kyle likes athletic or agile. Yeah, there you go, old lineman. We need some physical dudes. I'm not gonna say that Kyle's wrong because I don't think that, but they should go out and look for the upper echelon of those agile guys instead of just looking for bottom of the barrel agile guys, right? Like there's a difference between a guy that is rated in the draft a top 3 round pick that's agile, right? You can go out and get those kind of talented guys that have a different level of athleticism. He's still going out for the agile guys, but they're handoffs from other teams. Like they're off of another scouting team, or they were someone that was just cut from another team. You can actually go out and get agile guys that are young and explosive and strong, right? You can do both. They don't all have to be beefy, just walls, right? I have no problem with wanting guys that can get to the second level, but let's invest in them then. You know what I'm saying? Go out and get guys. Like, think about the 2 head scratchers that we had playing guard over this tenure here, right? Aaron Banks and then Pooney. It's like, what are we getting those guys for? Because it doesn't fit the bill of what you say that you want in offensive linemen. And now it's like, all right, well, they had both of those guys had rough rookie seasons, and then they had a decent second season, and then they kind of fade away, right? It's like, what the hell happened, right? So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Well, in the case of Pooney, he had a good rookie season, and his sophomore season has been terrible.
And then that was his slump, right? So the reason I said a good second season for Banks was because he didn't play his rookie season. And so when we finally saw him out there, it was like, oh, he's not as bad as what we thought he was. And then when he went into his second year of playing, it was like, oh, there's the guy that, we told you guys he didn't fit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So now we're doing that. And I also think that if they go out and get a really good center, it'll make those guards on both sides better. It'll make those guards better. Yeah. And I'm not even one of the people that think our center was terrible. A lot of people kept talking about how he was just standing around doing nothing. Well, there's 4 defensive linemen and 5 offensive linemen, and a lot of times he just didn't have anyone to block. Sometimes there was no one in front of him for him to block, right? So it's like, what is he supposed to do? All right, well, he can't run down the field and grab someone because then you got an eligible man downfield. So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. They really have to make the right type of investments, man. And I think that the offensive line might only be one player away from being a really good offensive line, believe it or not. So we'll see how they handle it in the draft.
Well,
this year.
And let me put it this way: listen, Aaron Banks was who have they actually drafted that was like highly touted? It's Mike McGlinchey, and that's it.
Yep. Right.
Aaron Banks was overdrafted. Everybody was like, Aaron Banks, what the hell? They took Aaron. I'm still really upset about this, by the way. They took Aaron Banks 15 picks before Creed Humphrey was picked by the Kansas City Chiefs. And Zach will tell you, I was talking about Creed Humphrey like that entire season. I was like, this dude is going to be this. He's a guy. And of course, he's a fucking all-pro center.
Yep.
So they've overdrafted people. I want to say even like Dominic Pooney was kind of overdrafted a little bit. He was drafted in round 3, and people were saying like, maybe round 4. Aaron Banks was definitely graded as like a round 3, round 4 guy. They drafted him 48th overall. It's just like, if you're going to say what you will about McGlinchey, he's like a starting caliber right tackle, right? Like he's not like the best of the best, but he's not the worst right tackle in the league. He's probably like middle of the road. If you get that out of a first round pick, that's fine. Everybody else has been straight up dog water. Everybody they've drafted on the line has been trash. Some of their best guys have actually been undrafted free agents. I go back to thinking about like Daniel Brunskill when he was here, right? You go back to like even, like Colt McKivitz was like a 7th round pick, and they've turned him into something. But even then, it's just like, can we get like an elite guy here? I don't expect 2026 to be different, to be honest with you guys. I really don't.
Also, I think a lot of people, like the justification was that they're so good, they're picking at the end of the rounds. We didn't have first round picks for 3 years. Like it was almost like, well, if they reach on a guy that's 15 to 20 picks ahead, what does it matter? Because they have so many talented, they only have one hole in this, 2 to 3 holes in the whole roster anyway. So they might as well take a guy they feel really good about. But a few years removed from that, and we see how that worked out, and it didn't really, and then we're in the same spot. And not only are we in the same spot, we're in a worse spot because the lack of depth and draft class after draft class not hitting came back to screw the 49ers. So their logic at the time came back to screw them, and it didn't work. So,
and they've been one of the worst drafting teams in the league in this regime. I mean, really, really sit down and think about it. And this is no shade to Nick Bosa, but they have two guys that they've drafted that have actually far exceeded like expectation and developed it. And it's Fred Warner and George Kittle. Besides that, who has actually lived up to either where they were drafted or exceeded where they were drafted? Not even Nick Bosa, because he's just been so injured.
Greenlaw, they just couldn't keep him. I would argue.
Lenore. I think Lenore was a good pick. Like you said, Greenlaw was another good one. I mean, but the fact that we have to sit here and really...
We're talking about like 5th and 6th rounders, guys. Where are the fucking first 3 rounds of the draft that actually are meaningful?
Well,
in Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was.
Oh, I'm sorry with the Chargers now. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. No, but I mean, think about it. You know, they make a great trade with the Bears, right? And finesse the Bears into taking Mitch Trubisky. And then they turn around and take little baby hands, Solomon Thomas.
Oh, I know.
Because John Lynch knew him.
Right. He had a class together. I think
they trade back into the first round to get Reuben Foster. Disaster.
Could have been good.
Right. The next
Great
year is
pick.
Mike McGlinchey, who was good, but like not great. Then you get Bosa, who, again, if he was healthy, you know, the whole time, then, you know, maybe we're talking about him in a different light. But I mean, at this point, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of starting to swing the direction of maybe we should trade him because he's on his 3rd ACL. He's getting a little older. Like, what are we going to get when he comes back? You know,
I actually wanted to ask you about that. Like, what are your expectations for him coming off of his 3rd one? Like, honestly, I don't know many people who come back from 3. So I want to know, like, what should we be expecting here?
I mean, ACLs have been improving, and he had the first one when he was in high school. So he tore the one that he like tore back in high school. So it was a clean ACL tear. So theoretically, if he can get out of there with minimal scarring, then, you know, but he's probably going to have a shorter peak because of it. I think that you'll really start seeing it age 30, 31, 32, where he's like declining a little bit quicker. And then you also have to look at his brother, his brother was injury prone and then all of a sudden fell off a cliff. So again, is it better to get out on Bosa a little bit early? You know, but again, this is just going through the first round. Trey Lance was a fucking disaster. We all know that, right? Who was our first round pick in 2020? I don't even remember.
We didn't have one. All right.
In 20?
Was it Ayuk?
Oh, it was Ayuk. That's right. It was Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk and Kinlaw.
We know. Oh God, Javon Kinlaw. 2 more disasters.
Well,
and
Ayuk turned into a mental disaster. I would argue, if it wasn't for that, that would have been a home run.
Good talent. Yeah, that was a good talent.
I would argue that he was not worth the first round pick. He had 2 good seasons. He had 2 average seasons or below average seasons. Had a good season, had a great season, and then had a season where he wanted to get paid. When he came back, he looked like he hadn't done shit and looked terrible, was dropping passes all over the field, looked slow. We all said it. And then tears his ACL and then never plays again. I don't know that I could define that as like a great first round pick. The talent might have been there, but if you don't put it together, then who gives a shit?
Right. That's what I was going to say. So you don't know if these guys are going to be able to put it together because they're in college, right? So all you're doing is going based off of the film. Can he run routes really well, and does he have dependable hands? And those answers are yes.
But again, the thing is, tell me a first-round pick that exceeded the 49ers' expectations. You can't find me one.
Exceeded expectations. Oh, okay.
Right, or even just met the expectations of where they were drafted. If you told me that you drafted a first-round wide receiver and he would have 2 good seasons and then 3 dud seasons and then dip out on you, you'd be like, I'm not going to draft that guy.
I think I don't know.
You would draft that guy.
I'm getting a guy that is going to get a second contract with my team in the first round for sure. And they did it. He just went crazy. Like that's that's not on them. That's
Can't predict that.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, maybe they could
like
have by the end of his 4 years. Maybe the
Right.
writing was on the wall, but
The writing should have been
Right.
on the wall with the way that he baby Debo'd himself in the contract negotiations.
yeah.
Like, if you
So
didn't see it then, I don't know, man. Like, again, 2 average seasons, 2 good seasons, an injury ending your season, and then you go crazy and just stop showing up. To me, that's not a pick
And
that
then-
meets expectations in the first round. Sorry, like, it's just not.
And Kinlaw just couldn't get healthy. Forget stay healthy. He couldn't get healthy
Yeah,
here.
couldn't get healthy.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough. But
Obviously,
I
the
am
Trey
happy.
Lance pick was in and of itself, right? And then we get a first round pick. And what do we get? Ricky Pearsall, who also cannot stay healthy.
Okay, what are your guys' thoughts on the talent of Ricky Pearsall? Forget staying healthy or not. Like, do you guys think that he's like first round worthy?
I mean, when he was fully healthy at the beginning of the season, he was chewing people up.
I think he's one of the better wide receivers in the league when fully healthy. Bona fide wide receiver 1, in my opinion, if he's healthy.
I would classify him more like a high end like wide receiver 2, but like a chain mover. You know what I mean? Like, think back to, like the 2016 Falcons, right? Clearly Julio Jones was the guy. I think Ricky Pearsall could, play that number 2 role.
Roddy
or
White.
think to right, exactly. Think to the, who am I thinking of? Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles or whatever, right? AJ Brown is the number 1 guy, but then Devontae Smith is there. Or the Vikings, right? Justin Jefferson, clearly the fucking guy, but like, if your number 2 is Jordan Addison, right?
Addison.
Bengals, Jamar Chase, right? T. Higgins, not a bad number 2. Like that, I think he's like high level number 2. And, when you have other people around, that's what the whole point of having Ayuk was there for. If Ayuk was there and playing like Ayuk played in 2023, we'd be like, oh shit, our wide receivers they're buttoned up, man. We got Jawan Jennings as our 3rd guy. Like, who wouldn't want Jawan Jennings as that like classic 3rd guy, 3rd and Jawan? Like, we love this guy or whatever.
Right. That's the chain mover.
Well,
right there.
that was the
Right.
that was the plan. They didn't plan for Ayuk to go mental and Ricky Pearsall to bump his knee and have it bruised all year and be on and off for.
But that is a
games at a
process
time.
issue. I could forgive it. If their first round pick, like maybe once in a while, right? Because the hit rate is like 50-50. They're batting like 0. Like, none of their first round picks have met expectations. Not even Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa has been injured like 3 of the seasons that he's been with the 49ers. Like, to me, that's bad drafting. Second round picks. Who the fuck was good? Debo had 1 good season, and he's going to hang his hat on that forever. Other than that, he's been overrated his entire fucking
You said
career.
Debo. Really quick, let's get this out the way because I've seen it all over social media. Do you guys want him back? Can we just
No,
say
fuck no.
universally
Fuck
no?
no. Fuck
Okay.
no.
All right. Thank you. Because this is driving me absolutely crazy. I can't believe that fans are even saying, yeah, let's bring him back. Let's bring him. I hate Facebook. I think Facebook is significantly worse than X.
It is
Like the takes that I see on
It's
Facebook.
a lot of
it's
fake
like, what?
news too. My dad texted me, I heard we signed Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa. I'm like, no. I'm like, well, Facebook. I'm like, don't believe anything on Facebook. It's my manager comes over to me the other day. Like, I saw we fired Kyle Shanahan. I'm like, no. It's like AI news. Like it's like fake everything on AI and Facebook, and they just flood it out there because it gets a ton of engagement. And it looks real. Like, I don't even fault people for believing it because it looks completely real. But yeah, it's gonna be insane.
Oh, AI, we're cooked, man.
Yeah.
It's already over.
But this is why John Lynch being promoted and maybe someone else pulling the trigger, maybe
that's
someone
why I
who
want
actually
that.
talks to the scouts and all that stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so this is
Yeah.
a good shakeup. And that's why I'm excited for this upcoming year. I have no idea how the Niners are going to play out. We're going to benefit from that 3rd-ranked schedule. We've seen the opponent list already and all that, right? Now it's a matter of where they play and us giving up another home game and all that stuff. That's all stuff that we can get into much, much later in the season. But there's a lot of promise. There's a lot of promise, right? You get the Raheem Morris coming in here and his diversity and what he can do with the defensive line, and then you think about all those guys that are coming back healthy, right? You're hoping that these guys are all going to be healthy. It's going to be a new look. It's just now, can we keep them healthy? And speaking of keeping them healthy, we got to talk about this whole substation shit. It's not going away, guys.
Do we?
I think we're gonna have to mention it every show that we do. Like it's not going away. And now you got Jed York saying you've been here since 87, 84, 77, whatever he said. Like you guys see him with Kay Adams.
I know that wasn't helpful. That wasn't helpful.
Here I have it.
Jerry Rice would say he kept talking about Jerry. Like he's the only player that's been here.
Yeah.
Like,
but the substation, right? Like the people are talking about.
He's the one that brought it up, by
injuries.
the way.
That's been there since
Oh,
1987.
we're going there, Jed? Okay.
That's been there since 1987. Jerry Rice was there.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to affect Jerry Rice. It seems like Jerry Rice can still play today. I don't believe that's something that is a real
Everyone's
issue.
being asked about it.
I am sure.
Lynch, you, I'm sure. Fred Warner was asked about it yesterday. Is there like due diligence being done? Have you researched it, or is it?
We'll look into it, but we've been there since 1987 next to the substation, and this is the first time that somebody has brought it up. It's not like it happened last season. Jerry Rice seemed to be pretty healthy during his career. Like all those guys seem to be pretty healthy during their career.
It's good.
I think we can debunk it.
It's too pragmatic, Jed.
Yeah.
This like critical thinking.
Can't do that.
Well, but then it begs the question, what do we do? What's the next step on it? John Lynch said it yesterday. Your amazing GM said we have to, what did he say? We have to have a plan, like the next few steps. We have like, what are the next things to check off the list of like why this? I mean what I said, Jed. You're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. You're not. This team specifically.
Did you
what
say
do
that
we do?
specifically to John?
No, I didn't see John.
You should. All right.
But you know what I mean?
No,
The injuries,
That was
it's like the
crazy.
most frustrating.
Same.
Like,
it's unbelievably
Same.
frustrating, and we need to be better at it. And
but what is it?
if I knew, I would wave my magic wand.
Sorry, I
and
missed
would
that.
fix
What did
it.
he say?
We need to fix it.
oh, you got to rewind it. Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. He said
It's
it.
unbelievably frustrating, and we need to be better at it. And
In the Super Bowl. What are the next things to check off the list of like why this? I mean what I said, Jed. You're healthy, you're in the Super Bowl. You're not. This team specifically.
did you
what
say
do
that
we do?
specifically to John?
No, I didn't see John.
You should. All right.
But you know what I mean?
No,
The injuries, it's like the most frustrating. Like,
it's unbelievably frustrating, and we need to be better at it. And
but what is it?
if I knew, I would wave my magic wand and I would fix it. We need to fix it. We need to make sure that we are healthy. We need to make sure that we are best able to compete. Because you said it, when we're healthy, we're in the Super Bowl.
I thought that was an interesting tidbit as well. Did you say that to John? No, you should have.
Excuse me, bitch.
You're the owner. You're his boss. What do you mean you should have? You should.
You say it to him.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, see, and this is like, fans are like, oh, Jed York is too involved. He's too involved. They've been saying that since he fired Harbaugh, right? And now he's so not involved. You should have said that to John. No, bitch. You should have said that to John. Are you serious? Have you been that hands off that you haven't said that to John? Do you need someone from the outside national media to say it to him? Like, what are we? I can't believe that was even like a real comment that he made. I couldn't believe it.
It was interesting. I don't know. I think that it's been made into this huge thing, the substation to begin with. Now players are being asked about it at the Super Bowl, at Radio Row. I saw the Cardinals tight end, what's his name? Trey, whatever. McBride saying that he thinks that players are going to, it's going to impact their decision for free agency if players want to come sign here or not.
I will say this. I think that this whole thing is really stupid. I will say that I think it's really stupid. However, I also think that most NFL players are fucking stupid. So now it's become a problem of stupid people believing stupid shit. And at this point, listen, there's a youth soccer park like right next to the stadium. That's a little further away from that substation. Buy that shit, turn it into a new practice facility, put up some fucking stupid wall if you want to, anything that's going to appease whoever, and then we can just dust this shit under the... Because at this point, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you give it air, people are going to be like, see, it's real. It's real. And then if you don't, then they're going to be like, they should have listened because it's real. So there's really no winning. You might as well appease the people that matter the most, which is the players who potentially will come and play for you or not come and play for you based on this. It's the whole thing is so dumb. Yeah. His statement was dumb because it's not exactly accurate. Yes, they've been there since 87, but they did increase the size of the substation. Not that really matters, but that's going to change the perception of what people say. People already say, "Oh, it's not as big. It's not as big." Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, is there a way for them to buy some of the, land that's supposed to be going that Great America is going to be torn down on or whatever because Great America is supposed to be closing? You can move something over there. Fucking, I don't know, rearrange the parking lot, right? Put the practice field on the other side of the stadium. Just anything to, you know what I mean? Like anything just to get people to shut the fuck up about it.
That's why I think what Zach mentioned with McBride's comments, right? If combine your two comments, right? That football players aren't there because they're geniuses. They're there because they're athletes, and most athletes, let's be honest, I don't want to diminish anyone's intelligence, right? But what I will say is if it's going to stop good free agents that you want from coming to your team, you should do something about it. I mean, a practice field where you're not buying new land or anything like that.
Can I interrupt you?
Please.
If not only if it's going to stop, if it's even going to make them hesitate, I feel like that is in it of enough of a problem, right? Well, if it even puts that doubt in their head. Go ahead, Matt.
Even Christian McCaffrey even came out with something. And he's like, yeah, like the EMF and the 5G, it's not nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, dude, like everybody's on this shit. And I'm not saying that, I mean, I am saying that players are stupid, but sometimes it's not because of capacity. It's just because of opportunity. Like you're a great athlete. Nobody's going to expect you to hit the books really hard, right? Like you're a football player. Like nobody really cares that hard. If you're going to be the best of the best at what you do and hyper focus on this one thing, and we see it with how, again, Christian McCaffrey is an example. I mean, how much effort does that dude put into being in shape and doing all this shit? Fred Warner sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber, attacking all this stuff. Like how much does one have in terms of time, in terms of opportunity, in terms of inclination in the middle of their football career to be sitting there and becoming this learned individual, and actually trying to research stuff in a meaningful way? Most people are just taking what they see on social media, which is most people in the world, and they're just, it sounds good to me. It sounds believable. I think I believe it. And then it's like, oh, that's what I believe. So now I'm going to dig my heels in against anybody that's going to go against what I'm saying, rather than having an open mind. It's like, I heard the one thing that I like, and so now I'm just going to believe that thing. And, unless you prove it to me otherwise, I can't go anywhere else or whatever,
Yeah.
Two quick questions for you both on this.
Yeah.
One, do you guys believe that healing is just as much mental as it is physical?
Placebo effect is real, 100%.
That's exactly where I was going with this.
100%.
And so
again, it is becoming an issue. It is becoming an issue now because that's why. As soon as the players are all started piping in, now I'm like, okay, just deal with it and move on. Like, just move the fucking practice facility and move on, so you don't have to deal with it anymore. And then when they're the most injured team, coming up again, then we can actually get to the crux of the issue, which is the way that they practice and their strength and conditioning staff.
Right. And this is going to be part of the learning curve that we talked about Kyle Shanahan going through this year, stepping back and seeing the flaws in your defense, right? Then he makes that wonderful statement on the 21st, right? It's kind of like sometimes you just got to see it play itself out so this is no longer sustainable. We now have to change something. And unfortunately, I think that's where we are. I think that's the point to where we are. And let's be honest here, right? To build a field in a field, right? You're not going to change the physical building, but they're talking about the practice field. That's what the location is, right? Isn't that what's right next to it? It's the practice field.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not the building. Yeah. It's the field. And so if you just move the field from one side to the other, you can leave the building where it is. They all ride scooters to the field anyway, right? So just do that then. Get
What's
a little
funny
shuttle
is
if you can move it to the other side of the parking lot.
They uncovered like the public plan. Since public funds went into Levi's Stadium, the documents were public, and they had initially asked the city, I believe, the city or the county to move
take
the
it out.
power station.
Yeah.
And they asked the 49ers to foot the bill of $20 million, and the 49ers said no. And I mean, they could have paid, Jed could have forked up the cash and they could have moved it, but he said no, and now it's there, and now we have to deal with this BS conspiracy theory. And you know, that's the reason why a player ran up behind Fred Warner and he snapped his ankle, apparently, because the power station put those thoughts in his head. But it's just, why does any team get injured? Is there a power station in Detroit? There's also a power station right next to the Chiefs practice facility. Nobody wants to talk about that. Apparently that's a big issue only for the 49ers, not for other teams that have a power station next, substation, right? Like, it's not a power station. So I don't know. It's funny when you talk about like Harbaugh's Niners. I saw Dante Whitner has a podcast, and he said that, and no, actually I think it was Delaney Walker. He has a podcast with the Barstool guys, I'm pretty sure. And he said, when we were there, we saw it. We didn't think it was about injuries. We thought it was giving us cancer. He's like, the joke amongst us then was that the trees that bordered the power station didn't grow leaves. And we all thought we was giving us like cancer or something. And none of us thought that we were getting injured from it. So it's just funny how now, like a decade later, nobody thinks about cancer, but they all think about their ACLs or, you know, getting ripped to shreds because of it. So different strokes for different folks, I guess. But
that's what I thought about too, like the whole like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi gives you cancer, and then you think about Christian McCaffrey's comments. Like oh God.
If everybody would just do like a touch of actual exploration into what the universe actually holds within it, and our galaxy and our solar system and everything else, from fucking cosmic radiation to gamma rays to the EMF that the Earth creates itself, like that's the only reason why we have an atmosphere, everybody, because we have an electromagnetic field around the planet. Like, again, you go to all this stuff and it's just on a scope of, it's a lot like climate change, right? Do humans contribute to climate change? I'm sure a little bit, but do you mean to tell me that the history of humanity could compare if the Yellowstone caldera went off? No, that would knock us into an ice age for like 20,000 years. You know what I mean? Like, there are levels to this game, and I think people are just too focused too on the microscopic to understand that, like, dude, the entire planet is a massive geodyne.
But couldn't
like, that's how this works, man.
Concentrated pockets of certain things, right? So like
no, Michael,
no,
the entire planet is this massive electromagnet that's putting out more EMF than any man-made station could put out, just by virtue of our molten core around a solid iron core flowing underneath us is creating a massive magnetic field.
No. I do understand what you're saying. Well, so like, all right, let me take it off of that. Right. So when you go to a cigar, or if you're outside, the oxygen levels are anywhere from 19 to 21% in the air. If you go to a cigar lounge, it drops all the way down to like 12% oxygen because everyone's in there smoking and you're mixing other stuff in the air, right? So I'm not atmosphere, yeah, but like I'm talking about now pockets. Can you create and change?
But
the amount.
That's the difference between containing gaseous items like the atmosphere and oxygen and nitrogen and, you know, carbon, which you're burning from the, you know, and carbon dioxide from burning the you know, tobacco leaves or whatever, and actual energy waves, which is what electromagnetic force, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. Nothing is, if the sun gives off a high enough solar flare, it could blow the atmosphere right off the planet and we wouldn't be able to do shit. You know what I mean? Like, again, there's electromagnetic interference. The aurora borealis is a byproduct of the electromagnetic field. And people are like, "Ooh, this is so pretty," and they go, "Well, let's go see the Northern Lights." And you don't think the Northern Lights are producing more EMF than a fucking electrical substation? I don't know.
By the way, I'm going to see him. By the way, I'll be out there. If
it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I'll let you guys know.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
It's not going away, unfortunately. I really don't think it's going to go away unless the 49ers stop being in the top 10 most injured teams. If next year they're like 17th, 18th, 19th, then I don't think it's as big of a story.
Imagine they don't do shit and the electrical substation is there, and next year we're like the healthiest team in the NFL.
You know what would be hilarious is if they told them that they turned off the substation, but they actually didn't.
And it's placebo effect in the opposite direction.
Yeah. All the players are like healthy as hell, and they're like, "Oh my god, I feel even better." And Matt, you've made this point before, but like EMF is a type of therapy. Like players use it to get healthier and to rehab and to rehabilitate broken bones, or maybe not broken bones.
Well, they use so. I mean, you can get implants, you can do electrical stimulation, you can do all kinds of stuff. Ultrasound.
Everybody's got
help.
their kink.
It's like, come on, man. Red light therapy. It's like that's a wavelength of light, and people are just like, red light therapy totally works. And again, it's just a hot and cold plunge was the thing. Go from the hot plunge to the cold plunge, or whatever. So it's 30 minutes of it's always something, man, and people just believe this shit. I don't know, man.
I would rather subscribe to the theory that Christian McCaffrey is sucking the health out of other players to stay healthy. No coincidence that this was his first full season, and everybody else got injured. Even Warriors games that he went to.
Jimmy Butler tears his ACL. All of 23. He played all of 23.
But he wasn't here all year, so that's my caveat.
Mean, he wasn't here for like 4 games.
He didn't have a bye week that year, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think he played 19 games that year. Or 18 games, whatever it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. But I actually think he got more touches this year than he did that year. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, see, Niner faithful, you get it, man. The taxes are going to be more of a hesitation than anything else.
Do you guys remember Eric Armstead showing his pay stub? It's showing literally half
all the
of it.
Tax.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it here.
Yeah. And then he goes to Jacksonville where the taxes are non-existent.
Yeah, literally no income tax.
Well, no state income tax.
Right,
so he's
no
paying 37% instead of 50% because California's top tax rate is like 13.5 or something like that. Yeah. And the federal government and California are both broke. What are they doing with all that fucking money? Anyway, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. That's for a different podcast.
With this whole week of news that we've had, do you guys walk away feeling more optimistic about this coming season or pessimistic?
Very much so. Optimistic, in my opinion.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, for those that are pessimistic, who would you rather have had at DC that's available? If that's the reason why people are pessimistic, I would love to know who. Because it's easy to say, I want somebody else. Give me a name. You want an unproven guy? You want to wait and see if Jim Schwartz shakes from the tree, and if he doesn't, be right back here in a month? Matt?
Yeah, listen, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's the best hire that they could have made. But again, that's only one piece of the puzzle. We got to get players back healthy. We got to get, people.
Is this audio weird for you, Mike? Okay.
Yeah, it's like
muffled almost.
Cancel. Yeah, did you turn on like noise cancellation or something like that? Or
no,
it's better now. It's better now.
Okay, my cord might have been a little loose.
Okay.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's not just about this move, which is the best one that they could have made. I think that it is also who you get in free agency. So the Niners are projected to have, I think, the 5th or 6th most cap space in the NFL. Their dead cap money has dropped to $20 million, most of which is for Javon Hargrave. What does the Ayuk contract look like without all the guarantees? Like, how does that hit the cap? Do they get more space from that? What does the comp picks look like for some of their other moves? I know we're going to get some free agency comp where we should get something for Sam Darnold. What does that look like? What does the draft look like? Obviously, what does free agency look like? I know people are talking Tyler Linderbaum. You're not getting him. What's that thing we always put in the chat, Zach? It's that cartoon where the guy puts the hand on the other guy's shoulder.
I'll find it. Yeah.
It's like, you poor son of a bitch.
We send it so frequently.
We send it all the time. Yeah.
At least once a day.
It's like, buckle up, buddy. I got news for you.
Tyler Linderbaum's coming to SF.
Not so fast, my friend.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's almost like it's like, I'm gonna go see my girlfriend today. Yeah, funny thing, man. I fucked her last night. Like that's kind of the vibes I get from this meme right here. You know, it's just, you know, who are you gonna get in free agency?
Is this picture from like Inspector
It's some
Gadget?
cartoon. I don't know what exactly
It's
it
some
is.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Honestly, it could
It does
be
look like
anything
it,
from that.
G.I. Joe, maybe?
What it could be any of those 80s cartoons is what I
Yeah.
was going to say. Like it could even be like Speed Racer.
True.
You know, like there's a bunch in there that this is from. I don't know what it's actually from. We should probably find it on like Know Your Meme or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are guys, and you know, again, does Raheem Morris like bring some people that he had in Atlanta, right? Kyle Pitts is a free agent. Caden Ellis, the linebacker, you know, that he's a free agent. You got Tyler Algier, the running back, he's a free agent. There are people that, you know, all over the place that could come here. Lake from the Rams was a guy that worked with Raheem Morris when he was defensive coordinator there. Do we bring in Lake? You know, somebody like that. There are a lot of possibilities, but they have a lot of work to do. This is another season where I thought they did a good job given all their cap constraints and the fact that they needed to rebuild. The rebuild year, they essentially went 12-5 and won a playoff game, which is like over expectation, right? And by the way, because the NFC West was so good, despite the fact that they went 12-5, they're gonna have a third place schedule next year.
Mm-hmm.
So you have opportunity. Kobe Bryant, another guy, right? There's going to be opportunity for you to bring guys in with the cap space that you have. You have a pretty good, I think they have like 9 draft picks right now. That could go to 10 or 11, depending on how the comp stuff rolls out. You have to draft well, though. And I think that it's imperative that you get faster on offense and that you get healthier on defense in terms of you know, guys that have a proven track record of being healthy. You absolutely need to upgrade the safety position. I think on defense, it's the biggest disaster position. When everybody's healthy, I think the defensive line is actually pretty good. And I think the linebackers have potential, especially because, I mean, if you have all pro Fred out there, like what are you going to do? You know, he's just the best in the business. If you can shore up the safety position, I think that will actually help out Deommodore Lenoir. I think some of his stuff was like miscommunications, and some of that could have been the young guys back there at the safety spot. Who knows? Well, I mean, without being in the defense, we'll never know. But there are opportunities for them to get really good really quickly. And we've seen worse the first transitions happen. There's no reason why the 49ers can't pick up an extra 2 wins on their season if they can stay healthy.
Well
Or it
said.
could go tits up again.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Mike, how about you?
What's the
Did you
question?
freeze on us?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the upcoming season?
Oh. No, I'm definitely more optimistic than pessimistic, especially with the front office changes. I really do like that more than anything else. Forget the Raheem Morris part for a second. Like, it's just hearing that John Lynch is being moved. I still think he's going to be involved in the draft, obviously, right? But until they name exactly what other changes are going to happen, I do like that they're at least looking around and shaking it up a little bit. I like the CEO change. It just tells me that, hey guys, like, now my name is on the line as CEO. I'm not going to stand for a lot of the same stuff that's been going on. Before, you know, I don't think Guido had the power to do anything. Now he might actually have the power to do it. And I'm wondering if the John Lynch change is a direct response to that already. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how everybody in the building felt about a guy coming from the booth being a GM. I don't know that went over well with everybody in the building. I'm sure some people were like, are y'all sure we want to do this? Like, I understand that we want Kyle here and let him pick his guy, but, you know, like, maybe we should go after someone a little different. I think that that move in particular, we might not see it all bear out this season, but in the next 2 or 3 seasons, we should see something shake up a little bit. So that does excite me. I think we're heading in the right direction, and that's saying a lot coming off, like Matt said, a 12-5 season. That's something that's big. That's really, really big that they even thought to shake things up like that this offseason. So, like you said, great rebuild year for the Niners. Overachieved for sure. and that comes from having a fourth place schedule. Let's see what we can do now. We got a lot of good experience in there for the rookies that we drafted, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you got Pearsall with another year in the system. We're gonna have to replace Jawan Jennings. We'll see how it shakes out, but I am really excited. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. On that note, I think we're gonna wrap up here, guys.
We did
Thank
get
you.
one more super chat that we need to
missed
get
it.
to really quick. I'll put it in now.
We got two actually.
Oh, I didn't even see. Okay, so this one here says he was a defensive coach on the Falcons Super Bowl loss.
And he was a defensive coach on the Rams Super Bowl win. Oh,
Right.
that's actually a question. Is this the first time we've added a Super Bowl winning coach? Is that the first time a coach on this staff has won a ring? I want to say
Has it?
yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to
I think
I'm trying
so.
to think back. Did Wilkes have a Super Bowl with anybody? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that might be
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it might.
Culture's changing.
Be one. I like that. Yeah. So I mean, it's listen, man. It's good. It's good for what it is, man. And then we got one more here. He says, out of 28 picks since 2017, rounds 1 through 3, only 7 have hit, including Bucklinchy, Ipuke, and Green, and they were picked too high. What a waste, man. What the hell?
See, I can't call Renardo Green a hit right now.
I haven't been disappointed with him, but you know, I mean, it's really, really hard to evaluate the talent when so many people are in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant shakeup, man. It sounds like a cop-out, but I also don't want to write players off that have been moved and utilized in different ways throughout their entire career. So I don't know. And the other thing is with picking too high, we have to remember, like, sometimes the gap between the next pick isn't always just 32. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's more than that. And so maybe they had their eyes on the guy, and they knew there's no chance of him being there at the next pick, so we got to get him now and just sit back and take it for what it is. So, you know, we've seen that time and time again. You know, the Niners will pick a position, and then there's a run on that same position, which means that run was coming. They had to get ahead of it. So, you know, when you analyze the draft, it's really, really tough, man. It's tough.
Well, I mean, either way, they need to do a better job
Yep.
because
All
they
right.
have not done well. Especially when I got to look at Seattle hit on multiple draft picks this year
Be the reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
and multiple draft picks last year.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed. Okay, that's gonna do it.
Double A says Robert Saleh won a ring technically with Seattle.
was he defensive coordinator or was he just like defensive line coach or whatever?
Probably.
No, I think
quality-
he was the quality control guy
Yeah.
back then. Because it
So,
was Bradley.
I mean-
it was Gus. Gus Bradley.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
True.
I think Staley did Staley win a Super Bowl?
Staley might have won a Super Bowl as part of his staff,
The
Yeah.
Rams.
but I guess Gus Bradley would be the big one. Oh yeah.
Right.
Brandon Staley was the
No,
Did
well.
DC.
They did.
No.
They lost the Super Bowl
Raheem.
that year. Didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, I think so.
That's right. Yeah.
Raheem was the
Yeah.
DC.
He
for the
inherited
Rams. They won.
he inherited Bradley's team. That's what it was. Morris inherited Bradley's defense that year, and then the Rams won it that year.
You mean Staley?
Morris inherited Staley.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he inherited
Yeah.
Staley. I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, because Staley got hired by the Chargers.
Right. All right. Mike, please let the folks know where to find premium 49ers content as we get into the off-season
Yeah, man.
Draft
We're having a lot of
coverage.
fun.
free agency coverage.
A lot of people out there do not have AMC Plus, and I don't know if
Oh!
you guys have heard, but there is this great series going on over there.
We were supposed to go over it.
Yeah,
We'll save it.
I'm only one episode in,
Same.
so don't spoil it for me. But we are doing a watch party over at Patreon.com. The next episode will come out tomorrow night. We'll be watching that around 10 p.m. Eastern. So head on over to Patreon.com/NB9ERS if you guys do not have AMC Plus. The rise of the 49ers. Episode 1 was absolutely fantastic. I love the way that they put that thing together. You're getting some insight from Tom Brady. You always hear, oh, this guy was a 49ers fan. But like watching him show his childhood pictures and him in the jerseys and hearing him talk about how he threw this fit because he couldn't get a foam finger and all that stuff. Like it's really, really cool to see. Brady's dad was oh God, what was the word? Not a donor, but it was something like a sponsor or something like that of the 49ers team. Like he's seeing his dad's name in the book and everything. It was really, really cool. So I'm really excited to dive into episode 2. I was thinking about doing it tonight, but then we were going live. We normally do Wednesday night, so we're switching it up. So Wednesday we'll be live, patreon.com/NB9ERS. And for everybody that is watching right now from the Nothing But Niners YouTube page, make sure you guys come on over underneath Matt or above on the screen. I don't know where it is on the small one, but on the full screen version is underneath Matt. Head on over to 49ers Hive and subscribe over here as well.
Appreciate it. We are 1 week away from the full off season. We got a little sneak peek of the off season this past weekend, so bear with us, guys. We'll be bringing you content weekly, if not a couple times a week. This was the last shoe to drop up until the free agency, I guess, right? March 6th, I think, is the next draft. So
are either of y'all gonna well, I assume you guys are gonna watch the Super Bowl. Is anybody here actually not rooting for the Patriots? Or at the very least, like you're just like neutral.
I want to see Seattle win. I'm not going to lie. I like the idea of a first-year head coach just winning it. I know that they're in our division and all that stuff.
Sick son of a bitch.
Can I be honest, Mike?
Yeah.
Me too. But for a different reason.
Uh-oh. Because you wanted to piss the Niners off?
One. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about Sam Darnold. But 2, what it's going to do is teams are going to see this and actually give their quarterbacks time to fucking develop. And I think that would be one of the best things to happen in the league in a long time. I think people cut out on quarterbacks way too early. I mean, think about like Malik Willis right now, languishing in Green Bay. Tennessee gave up on him. And I think that there's something there. You know what I mean? So, and also, I don't think anything will hammer the nail home on the Mike McDonald, Kyle needs to change his ways type of deal than to watch Seattle bitch you twice and then win a chip on your field.
That's why I'm hoping that they do it. I know that it's blasphemous to say that, right? But I want the Niners to really have to reflect and look themselves in the eye and say, this is what we got to deal with. And this is what we let happen.
Exactly. A Seattle win can make the 49ers approach how they really approach the football game better. How they approach team building, how they approach scheme, everything. So
I don't ever want to host the Super Bowl again. The risk of somebody else winning it is greater than the potential payout of winning it yourself. It's not worth it, man.
Avatar's saying go to amcplus.com and sign up for a free trial and then just binge that shit in one day and cancel it.
They're like 40-minute episodes.
It's not actually free. I looked into the free trial. They do charge you for the first month, but the 7 days are free. And then within those 7 days, you can cancel, but they're going to charge you that $6.99. I did look into it.
Oh, no, they can't do that. If it's a free trial, they can't charge you for it.
Okay.
Then it's not a free trial. Then you would have to be able to have access to it for the month. You have 7 days to watch, and then you have to cancel it, and then they don't charge you.
Off air. I won't waste the show's time.
No worries.
All right, Matt, do us the honors.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, news for the 49ers, probably for the best, I would say. And hopefully the 49ers can actually make some changes and adjustments, but it'll be something to see, and see it is believing it, I guess. So we're about to hit the off season, and that's going to be exciting in a lot of different ways. So we'll be here bringing you a bunch of content. So for Mike, for Zach, for myself, thank you guys as always for joining us. I hope you join us next time. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we love having you here each and every week. So until next time, go Niners.